Meeting to order. Any items from the public? If not, can I have a motion to approve the agenda with modifications?
Yes, sir. President, our 10:15 has to cancel out today, so I will approve the agenda as presented, amended.
Okay, we have an amended agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed, motion carries. No internal budget revisions or purchase order. Any questions for Tracy? Almost went right over you, Tracy. I'm sorry. Nothing for Tracy? Went right over you, Tracy. All righty. Change in status. We had a new hire recommendation received from Tim Zaya, Director of Community Corrections, for Jess Michael as a drug screening tech with an annual salary of $39,812, effective April the 15th, 2024. Change in status received from Randy Lilly, Director, Emergency Services, for Joe Fado, Aaron Files, Jeremy Taylor, Tim Sabel, and Jared Wall. They are going from firefighter 3 to firefighter 4 with a salary increase from $66,210 to $71,154. And the effective dates for that is April the 1st, 2024. Change in status received from Randy Lilly, Director of Emergency Services, for Thomas Gorman. He is going from firefighter 3 to firefighter 4 with a salary increase from $61,440 to $64,771. That's also effective on April the 1st, 2024. Change in status received from Gary Wine, County Administrator, for Elijah Quinzel. He is going from premise, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Security 2 to premise security 3 with a salary increase from $62,315 to $68,500, and that's effective April the 1st, 2024. Change in status received from the Honorable Larry Hess, Assessor, for the following, effective April the 1st, 2024. Casey Capstran, an increase from salary from $32,500 to $36,000. James Coleman is going from appraiser to backup commercial assistant with a salary increase from $38,500 to $41,000. Yvonne McKenzie is going from personal property tax clerk to business property tax clerk with a salary increase from $37,142 to $40,000. Courtney Cook is receiving an increase in salary. She will go from $32,500 to $36,000. We have a letter of retirement received from 911 for Mary Foster, effective March the 21st, 2024. And that's all we have here now. We approval of the minutes, March the 7th, commission meeting. Commissioner Barnhart was not present. And we'll go ahead and pull those out. Take a motion to approve March 7th, 2024.
I make a motion to approve.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries with one abstention.
That's me.
Okay, March the 12th, everyone was here, we'll leave those in. And March the 14th, I was not here, so I need a motion for March the 14th, 2024. Have a motion and a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries, and one abstention due to absence. All righty, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
All right, have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All righty, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed, motion carries. Mr. Honorable Larry Hess is here this morning with a 6 personal property tax exonerations.
Good morning.
Office error. Good morning, Larry, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How about yourself?
Hanging in there.
Oh, yeah.
I do have 6 personal property office error exonerations for the reasons that's listed there. A couple of these come out of, like, we were been scanning all of our personal property. I've been mentioning it to you about every week, but we a couple of these come out of that as proofing, but they need to be corrected. So, but we got those 6 totals at $1,356.10 for those 6.
Do I have a motion to accept the 6 personal property tax exoneration for office error? in the amount of $1,356.10.
So moved.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed, motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Can I mention just one thing?
Yes.
On that scanning that we've been doing, we've worked for probably 6 months. We started that, I bought that program back about 6 months ago. We started on that because we got the same amount of area downstairs that we have pretty much where we're at. So we don't have any expansion room. Those two big retrievers, we can't move those things downstairs. So we just finished scanning all the personal property returns files in those two big retrievers. They're done.
Both of them.
Done. We don't have to move them. We don't have to move those files. Everything's in the system. And it's going to be a win-win for our office big time.
Yeah.
The girls don't have to get out of their seats to go back and pull them files out. It's going to be right on the computer. I pay, what, $3,500 a year? Maintenance on those retrievers. We don't have to move them. We don't have to do the maintenance on them.
Well, what happens to the paper copies?
Well, we still have them, and I'm not getting rid of them right now because,
Just in case.
it's in the system, and we got backup. We're good to go, and but I like to hang on to them for just a little while, just in case we need them. And I was going to ask see if we had maybe some storage out at
Baltimore Street.
Baltimore Street,
We
maybe
do.
we could put them out there.
Yes, sir.
And we can box them up, But even though we've got backups, and it's just in case something happens, man. That's a lot of those retrievers have been there since I've been here. I've been here 38 years.
Wow.
And we've always used that system. It's a total, complete different system, but I think it's going to work fine. We've been testing it as we go. It's on the computer. It's going to be a lot quicker. The lines, we can pull them lines down a lot quicker. It's going to be a win-win. So I'm proud of that. I'm very proud of that. So I want to mention that to you. So we don't have to move those retrievers.
Correction, we have to move them, just
Well,
just
Out of the building.
Right, we don't have to put them downstairs.
And
The one good thing, I used to work with them when I worked down at the IRS, and I mean, they had 1, 2, 4, 5, they had 6 of them in there. And now I don't know what they go to because I haven't been there, but they would have a contractor come in if they'd ever have to be moved or worked on. I mean, they were
you're crazy.
Yeah, you have to
Basically
tear them
every
apart.
day.
You have to take them all apart too. And then the last time we moved, when we moved over here in 2005, the guy said, I don't think they would handle another move. And they might, but
somebody will need
They'll
them.
be declared surplus and auctioned. What'll happen to them? But one thing, Mr. Hess, and he talked about proud, I'm sure he's very proud of the people of his office that are in here Saturdays before opening working. They have worked their kazoos off over
so
there to
we've
make
been
this
working
happen.
overtime just to get all this done because, I wanted to get this done before we moved. And we.
Now the move
Pulled it
can
up.
happen and not have to replace. Very good.
Exactly.
Good news.
Yeah, he'll be moving in the next 6 weeks. Furniture's ordered, so as soon as it's installed, Larry's ready.
Good deal.
Yeah, we're preparing for it, so.
Okay.
Well, nice for you to be downstairs.
Yeah, it's gonna be neat. That's coming
Well,
along really
nice for
nice.
the-
I mean, it's
Nice for the public, you know.
That's right. So everything will be on the first floor. I think it'll be great.
Drive through like Chick-fil-A.
There you go. I hope we don't lose lives.
Yeah. Oh, we would, I'm sure.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All righty. Board of meeting reports. Mr. Boyd.
Okay, so we had a CBB meeting yesterday. A lot going on over there. City came in and requested a special grant to fund a Martinsburg Ambassador Program. This is 24 hours a week, 3 employees. It's a program that will basically, they'll be the faces of downtown and around town in uniforms on bicycles. People could come up and ask for directions. They'll do meetups to go to the Roundhouse for things, to go to the Art Center, to go to the Apollo, to the Kids Museum. They believe that possibly a lot of people don't like to show up to events and places by themselves, and so they don't come or whatnot. They think they'll get trail groups out of this because they have the big $20 million trail program coming up. So this will help with that. So they wanted to kick it off and have the CVB fund it to start it. They say
To what
within
extent?
huh?
Funding it to what extent?
68,000.
Ooh.
$32.50, and that is from April until October. It is sort of a pilot program. It did pass, but the CVB did vote to put half the money up front and evaluate. They're getting monthly evaluations, and after the end of halfway 3-month point, if it's still going well, they'll continue to fund it this year. The hopes is that it'll be not needed funding by the third year. It'll be funded by outsourced other programs, Blue Ridge, whoever, different entities that may want to get involved. So that is underway. They have a new $30,000 grant program that's available now. Only available to anybody who's gotten grants in the past for them. You can't be a first-time grantee and come in and apply for the new $30,000 grant. They did award one to, but they awarded an amount of $26,000 because that's what was asked for by the Miss West Virginia program. They are really excited about being here in Martinsburg. They've been here some years now, and it's been doing very well. And it is out of the Airborne Church, but everything is all in production there and done in one place, and it costs less than half of what they were spending in other places in the state, in Morgantown and Huntington and places that they've done it before.
Bless you.
And they're working to start a hospitality program with Berkeley County Schools. The CVB is teaming up with Berkeley County Schools to start a hospitality program for students. That sounded like a good thing that's going on. And they also awarded a $5,000 grant to Armani Music Festival that's coming up here this summer. And the Apollo said that their marquee will actually be here and installed, I think, in May. It's ahead of schedule. Roger was there and excited about that. And there's also the discussion of the Berkeley Springs Film Festival moving to Martinsburg next year. That would be at the Apollo.
When is the next CVB event? CVB.
There, whatever Wednesday this was, at 1 o'clock every month. Yeah. So it was basically yesterday. So I guess it's the last
Wednesday.
Wednesday of the
Okay.
month. Most of my meetings are this week. I have that one, and then tonight is the library board, and then usually the museum board. But we weren't going to have a quorum, and there were some things with the museum board, so we just pushed back a month on the museum board this month. So there's no board meeting for that tonight.
Mr. Barnhart.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I had, it was actually Thursday and Friday, but I didn't make Thursday because I was here. So Friday I attended by Zoom the LGAC meeting, the Local Government Advisory Committee to the Executive Council of the Chesapeake Bay. The Executive Council being the governors of the states and the mayor of District of Columbia. So we advised them. The meeting was in Luray, but I missed it because I didn't know where it was because for some reason IT had LGAC on spam and we weren't getting any notification. I guess you straightened it out, huh, Penny? I haven't gotten any notifications, but you know. It turns out, which is my next meeting, but Region 9 hired an environmental program coordinator, which is what Matt Pennington used to be, by the name of Josephine Salke. And she is, I talked to her yesterday and told her about LGAC. And so she's contacted them because she's my, I guess, assistant as a member to LGAC. And, so I had her get her connected to LGAC. And the meeting was actually pretty good. It was about the future LGAC and the future of communities that the LGAC deals with. So it was pretty good. And I gave a report about West Virginia and that kind of stuff. And then Monday I had a Region 9 meeting. Like I say, the Josephine was introduced. In fact, Monday was her first day of work, so it was a heck of a day to show up for work and, right at the Region 9 meeting. It's funny, Donna Van Meter, who we just appointed, as principal of James Rumsey, has resigned as principal of James Rumsey. And, but she's going to work from home and doing something with the state of West Virginia with secondary schools. So she'll still be in education and still be here. So I think she'll be a good member, yeah.
Still continue to
Yeah,
serve. Okay.
yeah. And the Region 9 meeting, they had the fiscal year 23 audit, and it was approved. And then it was just pretty much routine. They gave their, it was beautiful sunny downtown Berkeley Springs, nice lunch, BLTs for lunch. That was pretty good. That was different. Good. And they gave their reports. And it's funny, when they had the citizen and member comments, I started off saying what good things we're doing in Berkeley County with the youth fair construction, how that was, county and local agency cooperation to get that in, and the parks and all that kind of stuff. And then, man, that just opened the gates, and, Morgan County was bragging on what they were doing, and, it turned out to be a pretty good session.
Very good. Mr. Catlett.
Yes, sir. I didn't get the group text when I'm wearing my pink shirt today, so I apologize.
I didn't either.
I do have one, so
Ty.
let me know the next time. Last Friday, I had a War Memorial Park Association meeting, and not that it has anything to do with county funding, but the park's a big part of our community, and we are going to definitely replace with the funds that we have made over the last couple years. The hollow pavilion is going to be replaced with the new metal pavilion. Hopefully tear it down this fall and rebuild it next spring, early spring, so it'll be ready for the next year, 2025.
Not to sound uninformed, which one's the hollow pavilion?
When you come in off Park Avenue, the one there on the right,
Okay.
all the other, there's 6 pavilions total, and they're all new. Well, the oldest one of the other 5 now is the main pavilion, which is still in great shape, and the rest are all metal.
Okay.
Well, I take it back to folk steel wood as well, laminated wood, but this one was a structure that we tore down over in Hagerstown out of rocks and brought it back over and rebuilt it years ago so we could have it. We couldn't afford a new one, so. But anyway, it needs replaced, and that's what we're going to pursue. Also, last Friday, I had the pleasure of going over to Rosemont Elementary School. The main reason I went because my granddaughter was there, but I sat through the safety program at the school system in Epic. My daughter works for Epic that they do together, and they've been in every elementary, intermediate school in Berkeley County over the last month. They put on a great show. They involve the high school kids, which the younger kids listen to them more than they do the adults. But I want to compliment Elise Gregory over there and Dean Olak for the program. And of course, we were represented by our emergency service people. We were represented by our sheriff's department. I know our sheriff, Rob, has been to several, and it's really a wonderful program they do to help get our young people understanding what's right and what's wrong. So yesterday, in that same thing, we had a school safety meeting, which Eddie and I have been asked to serve on at the Board of Ed office. It's represented by all the same agencies I just mentioned, a lot of school personnel, and we'll be meeting on a monthly basis now to try to get it right so that if, hopefully it'll never happen, but if we do have an incident where it's needed, we'll be prepared to handle it, the situations.
Plan.
And Rob and Eric were both there as well in our emergency service. Were there, Randy, Lilly, and so it's a really wonderful effort in an attempt to organize and be prepared for. And it doesn't have to be a shooting or something. Eddie brought up a good point. It could be a weather issue, a severe weather issue that you have to deal with. But protecting our kids obviously is a big deal. And also yesterday at noon, we had a Workforce 7 LEO meeting. It was held here in Martinsburg. And they gave the stats that really impressed me, but Region 7, which includes the 8 counties on this end of the state. West Virginia's unemployment's around 4%, and the national average now is about 3.5. Our region, and most of it's due to Berkeley County, to be honest about it, is down to about 3.2 or 3. So we were even better than the national average here as far as unemployment. So I thought that was impressive. And then also yesterday we had a senior service meeting at 3 o'clock, and the fundraising committee is just going crazy with all kinds of things planned. Becky Linton has taken the lead on that, and they've got a lot of things planned over the next few months there. I got notified yesterday and been asked on April 16th to attend the Board of Education meeting to discuss the 901 property and the possible transfer of deed on 901. And then tonight I have a Berkeley County Emergency Ambulance Authority meeting. We had to postpone last month because of a lack of a quorum, so hopefully we'll meet tonight. And then tomorrow we have an interesting trip planned. Eddie and I will be going with Justin Henry from Parks and Rec, West Virginia Medicine staff, and Board of Education staff to visit YMCA in Urbana, Maryland. The conversation is still moving forward in potentially having an indoor aquatic center built here in Berkeley County through the YMCA. So it should be a very interesting trip, and look forward to that.
I assume the Urbana facility is a state-of-the-art, butt-kicking, all-inspiring facility.
I would imagine.
I'll be there
So
tomorrow.
we expect it to be.
We'll be there tomorrow and see it firsthand. So
Hagerstown redid theirs not too long ago.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, they did. They had a big renovation program there. It's right in downtown Hagerstown.
Yeah.
And,
Don't they have one up there at Long Meadow? Isn't there a facility up there?
not YMCA, I don't
Oh, I don't
think.
know.
But
That's,
yeah.
yeah.
that's a that's a private
And
group there. But that's it. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Eddie?
I'm pretty much following Mr. Catlett here this morning. You know, like I said, we attended the LAP, or the School Safety Committee, which originated out of our local emergency planning committee. So former Sheriff Harmon started that School Safety Committee, and of course now with the change, you know, the school system is currently the chair of that. But like Commissioner Catlett said, you know, between law enforcement, emergency management, state and local schools, you know, school maintenance program, everybody's in. At some point, we'll need to bring fire in, and we'll also need to bring Department of Highways in at some point. One of the main topics yesterday was reunification, that we have to close the school down to transport the children, you know, to another location for them to be dispersed at that point. There's a lot of work to do there. And like Steve said, you know, tomorrow we will be traveling to Urbana with WVUE East, Parks and Rec, to get a good look at this YMCA. So
Good.
all good stuff.
I did not have any meetings or anything to report on, other than I think we're moving those portable restrooms tomorrow.
Yep,
Steve.
that's what I was going to say. I forgot. I forgot to leave out. I left out. I appreciate your help with
Sure.
that.
Well, like I said, don't thank me yet until we get them moved, because
Okay.
I just want to make sure it all comes together.
Yeah, James Rumey's going to be doing that. Plus, next week we have the home show at the Roundhouse
Yeah.
coming up. We've been preparing for that and getting a lot of things done down there for that. The elevator and steps project's coming along. It's almost finished. They're bringing in the elevator next week. The actual insert of the elevator, and then also on that grant for the city ambassador program, it's also a thing to get new groups like walking groups, trail groups, bike groups together. Because in today's new grant applications, they want more than just the regular letters, like from the Roundhouse supporting the Apollo, supporting the county, supporting. They want letters from the community too. So they're trying to get these community groups so they can get letters of support of groups of the community that are saying, hey, we need these grants for trails, we need these grants for these other things, and it makes it more likely that your applications will get accepted, having those groups with support letters versus just our same regular letters that we provide to these grants.
Check more of the boxes.
Yep.
For credit.
To your point on the program for the home show, the county commission encodes the broadband and the wireless communications inside the building down there for that event. So Mayor Knowles reached out a while back and said, hey, can you confirm? And IT jumped on, so they're back in business. So you supply that to them.
All righty. I had nothing else to report on. We had a new application received from Fred Johnson for the Berkeley County Farmland Protection Board. We want to schedule.
He's here today.
Is he here today?
He's coming today, I mean. He's not here yet, but.
Okay. So you're Mr. Babbitt? I'm Mr. Babbitt. Well, you're next up, so come on up and introduce yourself and let us know what we don't know about you. How about that?
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Good to be here. My name's Robbie Babbitt, and I'm recently retired by a couple years, but previously
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm getting bored. I was director of the Children's Museum for 3 years before it got closed down for COVID, and basically wanted to get back involved with the community again. Missed that, and I think I have something to offer. Working with the museum, I had a relationship with the Roundhouse staff over there, and we often work together, would cover for each other, and so somewhat familiar with what they are doing over there. Although I'm not up to date, it's interesting listening to what I'm hearing right now. I also know the architects that originally did the restoration work on the Roundhouse, so architecturally I've always been interested in it as a building. I just see it as a big resource for the community and would like to make sure we're using it to its fullest potential in bringing people out to the city, and it's a resource for both the city and the county. So I'd like to do what I can to help with that effort.
Well, we're going to start down here with HD if he has any questions and move along the panel here. And
Well, you say you're retired, right? So that means you got plenty of free time?
Be careful how you answer that.
I have time.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you also have another list at home, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got my list, my honeydew list, and now this.
We have a lot going on down at the Roundhouse right now, and we are looking for active board members because it's hard. A lot of the board members have a lot going on, and they can't be there as much. We have a few people that do a lot and several that come to the meetings.
Yeah.
So we are looking for people who are willing to engage and be involved with events and helping out down there and getting things done when big events are coming. So hopefully you would be on board with that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'd want to be one of the people in there that are getting things done. I don't want to just sit and listen. It might take me a meeting or two to get caught up because a lot's happened in the past couple of years. But yeah, I expect to be a contributing member for sure.
Mr. Barnhart.
It says here in your application, Planning Commission.
Yes.
Tell me about it. What's your interest in the Planning Commission? What do you plan to do if you got on the Planning Commission? Do you know what the Planning Commission does?
Yes. I was on the Planning Commission for Centerville, Maryland during a period, that's back on the Eastern Shore, during a period where they were going through a lot of growth and expansion. And we had a lot of interesting issues we dealt with at that time, accepting new annexed communities into the area. We had our septic tank, our wastewater management system failed during that period while we were waiting for EPA. We actually had an EPA grant to upgrade it, but it failed right before it upgraded. A lot of controversy. Baltimore News reporters were over. A lot of misrepresentation as to what was really happening came out through the press. So I've seen that situation with the public where perceptions can be suspicious of things that are going on when in fact nothing, nefarious is going on. But then we did just a lot of basic subdivision review, requirements on new development for the comprehensive plan. I was involved in the putting together a new comprehensive plan during that period. And I've actually have a master's degree in urban planning from UVA, but I spent my whole life in construction, and urban planning was kind of my extracurricular activity across my career. So yeah, I am very interested in planning also. That's why that was the other board that I applied towards. I thought I would be a good fit there also. Any other specific questions?
Well, Maryland or Virginia or whatever state it's in is fine, but are you familiar with Berkeley County enough?
Probably not, to be perfectly
I don't
honest.
know where
I mean,
service-
it's a little different system.
Yeah, I don't know
Zoning's
where
not as
Serviceberry
strong.
Lane is, so I assume it's a subdivision somewhere. So I don't know if you've not read the ordinance, or have you traveled the county to see how explosive growth is occurring in Berkeley County?
I've physically driven around to see what's going on. I have not read the subdivision ordinances or done that type of research, no, sir.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Mr. Catlett?
The Children's Museum, it was wonderful. Does it ever have any hope of reopening at some point?
They're going to reopen it this summer.
They are?
I've just been notified. Yeah, they have hired a new director, and I've been going in there and helping her a little bit, getting her up and running. Just, being there, to answer questions and help her. She's Audrey Urban, and she did work for the Apollo Theater. So she's worked with children a lot in that capacity, and she's worked with a lot of fundraising. So I'm very optimistic that she's
I
going
think
to.
the museum's a 501c3 in itself, on its own, I think.
Yes.
If I remember correctly.
Yes.
I had taken my granddaughter there years ago before it closed, and it's a wonderful opportunity for not only visitors in our community, but people that live here. And I think it's a really good fit down there with the roundhouse and everything you're trying to do too, HD. So I'm glad to hear that that's going to happen. And
Yeah. Should be seeing something this summer.
yeah, and I just, other thing, I have no other questions. Just want to thank you for your willingness to serve on some of our boards, if appointed, and we appreciate that. We're always looking for good people to help, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Eddie?
Yes, sir. Mr. Babbitt, what possible ideas or thoughts of progress at the Roundhouse? Would you bring some fresh thoughts and ideas?
Well, I've known of ideas that keep getting recirculated. I don't know that I have anything particularly new, although one thing that appeals to me that I've heard before is actually a music venue and bringing more entertainment type of events there, knowing at the same time that the biggest problem is circulation, parking, and getting in and out. That seems to be the hardest nut to crack to really bring it to its potential as I see it. I know there have been plans in the past for different infrastructure to get people in and out from different areas, which are very costly in terms of bridges. It would take quite a lot of fundraising or Department of Transportation money to make some of those things happen. But like I say, the thing that appeals to me most is to get more entertainment into the area. I know we have lots of events, but I'm talking more like music, theater, that sort of thing.
And just to flip over to your planning commission days, how large of an area was Centerville, Maryland, that dealt with?
It was a town of around 2,500 is the county seat. The surrounding county had, I believe, around 5,000. So it's a small agricultural community, bedroom community to Annapolis and Baltimore. So that's why it was receiving a lot of growth pressure from that, and it's grown a lot more, since I left. So it was a sleepy little town back in the, 90s still, but after 2000, it started growing very rapidly.
So what would you estimate that population to be today?
I would estimate 8 to 10,000. It's kind of a spillover from Kent Island is the big growth area once you cross the bay. And then this is kind of a second node further out. Yeah, but it's a small town. Comparable.
2,700.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks for applying.
Okay, sure.
I don't have any questions, but as always, anyone that's interested in volunteering their time for this community, I commend you, and because our county runs a lot on volunteers. I mean,
Sure.
It's a necessary thing that we do need. So I appreciate you coming in, and we don't make a decision right now. But,
Sure.
But
I'll get a letter one way or the other.
yeah, I hope so. All right.
Okay,
Thank
y'all
you
for your
very
time.
much.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Babbitt, one of my favorite movies of all time was Rain Man. Charlie Babbitt, played by Dustin Hoffman.
I knew that was
The only other time I've ever heard the last name Babbitt. So it was a great movie.
It was just on.
So you got that working for you.
It was just on not too long ago. Yeah. All righty. That let's see. The 10:15 was canceled. We're at 11:45 for a break.
Chad's
Chad's ready.
Chad's ready.
Chad, come on up.
Chad's ready. That scares me.
We're bringing up the 11:20.
That scares me.
Morning.
Good morning, Chad.
What we're talking about this morning in your packet is the memo to request to apply for the fiscal year 23 SAFER grant. That's the Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response. If you remember, this grant was really, the approval of this grant was what started your 24-hour firefighting back in 2017, I believe, was the approval of the first one, which is where those staff at Baker Heights came from. A few things have changed in the structure of the grant since then. Some of the strategies that we're applying for have changed. When the first one was approved, the grant was awarded in a step down, so I believe it was 100% year one, 50% year two, 25% year three. One of the great things that's changed, it's 100% through all 3 years.
Hey.
So, and that is with a 0% match. One of the negatives is the original grant also included allocations for uniforms and turnout gear for the firefighters. The grant no longer includes that allocation. So you do have a little give and take. I think the give for the 3 years at 100% salary is worth the loss. Elizabeth is here. When this grant was announced, we immediately sat down with Chief Roberts and Director Randy Lilly and started talking about their staffing. We sat and Gary and I talked about what it would look like to be able to maintain budget-wise firefighters on the budget, and we came out with a number of 12. So we would like to apply for this grant for a number of 12 firefighters. These will be 24-hour firefighters, and what that would do, if approved, would allow you to add an additional 2 stations to 24-hour rotation. So you'd go from 1 to 3 stations covered with firefighters around the clock. You would have the 12 new firefighters, plus you would have 6 firefighters from existing stations would be absorbed into that to cover 2 stations, and that would be staffed 3 firefighters a day. There is NFPA 1710, I believe, recommends a staffing of no less than 4 firefighters. We are doing this in coordination with the volunteers and writing the grant, so volunteers are partners with us and will be 4th firefighter on that truck. We have seen that success a lot. I'm sure as Commissioner Gokenheier could tell you at the model at Baker Heights, and we're looking for that to continue. Another big change for this grant is that in the past, this grant has been applied for under the volunteer fire departments utilizing their FDID, and they were the pass-through for the grant. This is the first time that you would be applying for this grant as the county commission utilizing the FDID for the Berkeley County Fire Department. In doing so, it gives you a lot more flexibility in placement and movement of that staff, which we think is very important, especially as the county continues to grow and we have to be more reactive to how we allocate emergency services. So that being said, numbers, you're looking at roughly $956,000 a year for 12 firefighters. The total grant amount over those 3 years, $2.87 million. Elizabeth has had probably 20 to 30 hours worth of meetings at this point, both online with FEMA and physically with Director Lilly and Chief Roberts, gathering numbers and getting reports ready. And this grant is 90% fair assessment, 90% written. So the grant, upon your approval, is almost ready to be submitted.
What's the chances of getting it?
So one of the very first things that Elizabeth did is she reached out to other agencies who are very close in scope to what we're doing, and she reached out to Frederick County, Maryland, and spoke to them about how they get funded. They get funded with this grant almost every single year for multiple firefighters, and we took a lot out of what they are doing and mirrored that for this application. And we've had 2 great phone calls with FEMA and Homeland Security, and while there's certainly never a guarantee, we feel that we have a much better chance than we have in previous years for application, just based on the new approach that we're taking.
This is the first time it's been done through us and not the volunteers?
That is correct.
Okay. And that pot of money that this comes from, is that through Homeland Security
It's a combination of Homeland Security and FEMA.
and FEMA both?
With Maryland, when they get their funding, is it, for how many firefighters are they asking for?
They're going anywhere from 24 and up. Yeah,
And they've been successful for continuing grants?
they have been.
No. So understand that at the end of 3 years, you're on the hook for $1 million worth of salaries.
I know.
And
Not 32.
The deadline?
careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
April 12th is the deadline for
April
application.
12th.
Okay. So we need a motion to request to apply for the fiscal year 2023 SAFER grant.
I would love to make that motion, sir.
We do have a motion. Do we have a second?
I would love to second that motion.
We got 2 lovely motions and a
I'd
second.
love to third it.
And third. Do we have a fourth? And all those in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Many
If-
thanks to Chad and
If
Elizabeth on that.
approved, when would it go into effect?
We would probably be looking at money coming in around September, October. A lot of this also depends on the federal government.
It works on the federal fiscal year, I assume.
That makes me think of another
October
question.
1 through-
When would we be able to maybe start applying for, or having applications come in?
So we have actually, probably not until we have an idea of when funding starts,
starts,
but
that's
in
what I was thinking.
anticipation of the load that it takes to hire 12 firefighters,
Yeah.
Chief Roberts and I have been working on just starting to build some infrastructure stuff and kick around some ideas of how to hire so many folks
Right.
at once. One of the big things that we're doing that's going to be very simple and more passive is just trying to increase the visibility of the fire department, utilizing our web presence a little more to show. I think there's still a fair amount of people that don't know how much our career fire department does and how they're growing and expanding in their. So we're going to utilize that because coming from the background that I do, I have an understanding into how folks look for those jobs, and they want to go someplace and see the work they're doing every day. They want to see the training they offer. They want to see the stations they live in and all that stuff. And it's very easy for us to do, especially as the housing for the stations and the equipment in the county continues to get better and better.
And I do know years ago that our state and our county was the training ground for a lot of first responders, safety officers, public safety, and now we're competitive. And
You're extremely competitive.
yeah, and that has been a tough battle, Eddie. You know that. I mean, as far as what we're able to pay and now what we can pay. But when we can stand up and be competitive to a half an hour ride to the east or an hour ride to the east, that makes us very, very.
Yeah, and the key is the sweet spot, right? So it's a pipe dream to ever say that you can pay Fairfax County, Virginia. It's just, but it's about what's that dollar worth to keep someone from making that drive. What's the
Sort of I guess, if you're looking at Fairfax County, your call volume is going to be a whole lot more than here in Berkeley County.
Absolutely.
So,
And I'll tell you, selfishly, coming from the Berkeley County Emergency Response System, the things you see and the things you get to do while only having a 10 to 15-minute drive home, pretty amazing. First responders in this county do a lot with limited resources, and the anybody in their career for whether it's fire, police, or EMS would do well to get experience here. County is an amazing place.
I met with a gentleman yesterday who's well up into the DC fire, and their first alarm gets them 54 firefighters on the fire ground. Our folks in this entire region, but in particular the city of Martinsburg and Berkeley County that I know very, very well, these folks do a tremendous amount of work on the fire ground when they have a working incident. At a lot of larger places, they can't comprehend of all the jobs that need to be done by such few people. And so they're very well trained. They get a good bit of action around here. So we get a great opportunity. And I really personally, I'd like to thank you and Elizabeth for your work on this, as well as Chief Roberts and Randy as well. This is a big deal. And for us to be able to have the opportunity to provide 24-hour staffing to 2 additional stations in this county is tremendous. So, it's something I think about every day. Every day I'm trying to think and find ways that we can accomplish this goal. And just with your all's work and your determination, I think we're going to be successful. And thank you.
This has been, make no mistake, this has been Elizabeth's sole focus now for the better part of 3 weeks, and she's doing great. She's calling the meetings between her, Randy, and Chief Roberts. They're getting this done. I'm a facilitator, so they really are the ones who deserve the credit.
the lion's share.
Confused about the date, Chad, of 2023. I mean, it seems like
Yeah, so the way that they do their fiscal years for these grants are very strange. I was actually, when I put this in for the read ahead, I did 24 because I assumed this was 24, but they're awarding their money that was allocated in 23 for this grant. Is that?
so they're a year behind.
They're a year behind. Yeah.
And also, so I don't forget, remind me before I leave today, because I do have a name and a number for a contact that might be helpful.
Okay. Absolutely.
Steve, they might do that so they don't have to wait to see if a budget's approved to have the money.
I
Money's
believe
already
that is
there.
yes.
So now they can just go ahead and give it out to the winners and not wait for the budget.
When they
to be
kick the
approved.
can down the road every month and extend the budget, they don't have to worry about that.
Right.
I believe that is the reason.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Mr. Wine, we'll go to you.
Yes, sir. So state budget revision number 9, we need to realize $2,800,537, and I'll walk you through where that's going to go. The first piece of it, $35,000, will go into the county commission's account 401. That's to offset the cost for the out-of-state tags administrative support that you approved a lot earlier in the year. That line item, as we near budget end, I started to see it was time to put it in there because it was getting towards the bottom. Into your 425, your other buildings account, $222,475. That's the money I reduced. That's your debt service. That's the money I reduced in state budget revision number 1. If you remember, the unencumbered fund balance came in lower than expected, and I reduced both regional jail and debt service. Well, we have a debt service payment due in late April where we'll need that money, so we're catching back up there. 443 gets $90,000. That's some of the grant pass-through checks that you've seen. They've been in for the Little League in South Berkeley, they've water, so that's grant money that was passed through. We're adding $557,530 to your current year contingency budget, which is $699. 716, which is dog warden, animal control, we're adding $11,900. That is to cover unfunded holiday pay. That's forecasted out to the end of the budget cycle. They weren't funded at all for that. You remember, we've already done law enforcement, which was a big hit. That's another ancillary department of the sheriff's department that gets holiday pay. Recycle center, $40,000. You remember that transaction we did earlier in the year. This is just to fix that. 813 litter control. Yet again, that's passed through. You'll remember the Stubble Fields and Berkeley Pride. That's the money for the roadside sweeper that we have that's already been paid for by $27,230. And lastly, $1,816,402. That transaction is half of your opioid money that was given to you that you're reimbursing yourself for regional jail fees spent. And I'm placing it in 988 for your construction projects that are active to hopefully be able to finish those. So the total for all of that is $2,800,537.
Very good. I have a motion to approve state budget revision number 9, Fund 001.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
And any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Like sign opposed, motion carries. All righty, well, now we'll take a break. We'll come back here when Bill shows up. How's that? And up next, we have Mr. Bill Kearns, Executive Director for the County Health Department, permit fee increases.
Good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
We're up with Kara Harding. She's our Director and Chief of Environmental Health Services. This is a little different. I've never done this before, to bring fees before the County Commission. Back a couple years ago, they introduced a bill down Charleston, Senate Bill 10, which required from that point forward that any rules that a Board of Health would promulgate has to be ratified by the appointing authority, which is obviously the County Commission. Lucky for us, we have two counties in our Board of Health, so we get to present twice. So what we're looking at is our fees, which I provide a copy for your read ahead, to look at where we currently are and where we are proposing. Our fees have not changed in 10 years. We've kept them low, while our cost to be able to operate continues to increase each and every year. Now, we've kept these fairly low as long as possible, but we're at the point where we need to receive an adequate amount, or as much most part as we can, of funds to be able to pay for our man hours that it costs to do the services. So this is an initiative across the state that all health departments are looking at right now. And the reason that we're looking at it right now is because this past year, through Senate Bill 17, they introduced this year that now we were actually working with our legislators to do right around a 22% increase in our fees because of the exorbitant cost that it takes to do these programs. Our legislators have now decided that they no longer want to be in the business of setting fees, permit fees. So what they did was they put out Senate Bill 17, which will remove that. There's no mention of 64 CSR in the code anymore. It's now been repealed. So that all encompassed our fees. They said, we're going to put this back on the health departments because you all know what's best of what it costs you in your locality to operate your services. Well, that's fine, but we also have our level of approval that has to come through the county commission. So what we did back in February, I presented to the Board of Health the request looking at this contingent on Senate Bill 17 being signed by the governor. By the way, that was, let me look at my notes here, that was signed on the 26th. So the Board of Health decided, the 26th of March, by the way, the Board of Health decided to go ahead and put it out for public comment. We did advertise that both in the Journal and as the Morgan Messenger, since we do cover both counties. We put on our website, it's all social media. We did not receive any comments back, brought it to the Board of Health on the 18th of this month's meeting. The Board of Health unanimously agreed to adopt the new fee schedule contingent upon approval of the County Commission. So we have done our due diligence, but just to kind of give you an idea, and most of these do not increase that largely, but having competitive salaries as much as we can, anytime, as you're aware, anytime you increase salaries, your man-hour cost will go up. They go hand in hand. The biggest one, I would say, increase you would see in looking at those fees would be places like food service establishments. When you look at the ones that are like 81 and above, they currently are $500 for an annual permit. We're looking at, as far as July 1, starting doing a risk-based inspections. That means your ones that have larger amounts of turnover food, see more clientele, your buffets, those are going to be required to be inspected 4 times a year. Right now, on a routine inspection, it would be twice a year, but risk-based with what the state was going to require 4 times a year. So based on that, currently our fee for them would be $500. Usually a large place like that, we have 2 inspectors go out, one person usually be in the back of the house and one in the front. If one of them gets done earlier, they'll go back to help with the other one. But when you look at the cost that would be involved right now at salaries, a place such as, I don't want to drop a name because we are online, but anyway, a large place, food service establishment, right now the cost is between $850 to $912, depending on which sanitarian may be going out and inspect it, because they do make different amounts of salaries. But that's the cost. And right now, our current cost for that permit would be $500. So we're still seeing a substantial loss. We're not asking to go up to the cost basis inspection, but we are looking at keeping it consistent right across the board, right around 20%.
Have you checked with out of state,
Oh, yes.
and what are their rates?
For a place like that would be about $1,200.
And how come you aren't approaching that number?
We were consistent with about a 20% across. Jim, you've been in public health for a long while, so you're aware that,
They used to be free many years ago.
well, we don't do much for free anymore.
I know.
We do have a lot of unfunded mandates, but some of the money that we receive from state aid, which is based per capita, it does include funds for reimbursement of costs for environmental health services. So we do use some of that to offset those expenses as well. So we want to be able to try to keep there. I've never,
Is there
ever.
a limit on the amount you can charge?
No.
Okay.
No, it's left up to the Board of Health. We looked at this and reviewed it, and this is consistent across the state what health departments are doing. We all agreed that we'd look at about 20 to 22%. So we presented this, and I've never come and asked just for approval for something just because I want to get approval. There's always a need, and our need is there to increase these fees. Again, it's average of 2% per year if you looked at the fact that we haven't increased our fees in 10 years. I'm not sure many agencies could go back and look at a 10-year mark and say they haven't increased their fees in that period of time, because, again, costs do go up. So, again, we have a unanimous decision by the Board of Health to proceed with this. So I requested to be on your agenda to bring this forth for the commission to be able to ratify that decision.
Individual sewage disposal, it says conventional single-family dwelling. Does that include modifications? So a modification is the same as a new installation?
Well, there's a price,
Well,
they pay a price that
Well, what is if you're just replacing the tank? I don't see it on here.
I think it's 75.
And what if you're,
We didn't.
what if you're adding a line? Well, it's not on here, so I don't know.
We didn't look at increase, whatever our fee is, we did not look at increasing that.
Oh, okay.
These were the only fees that we were looking at increasing.
So if it's not increased, it wouldn't be on this list.
Yeah, we have a reinspection fee if we have to close an
Yeah.
establishment for some reason, or if there's an issue that we have to go back out for reinspection, which is $125. Which actually the cost of that's right around, for a large place, that would be about $160 cost, but we did not look at increasing those. We feel that those are probably high enough right now, and most people,
And the hourly rate to look up records is?
that's a research fee, and $25. Again, we didn't look at increasing those
Okay.
either.
All right.
These are just the ones that we were looking at increasing.
I-
And certain ones are actually still legislated, that,
Yeah, I
of the
saw
caps.
that. I love the pumper truck, $16. That's like,
many as they want.
yeah. But I really think that the big restaurants, the hotels like that, it should be higher.
I agree, and I'm not going to say at some point, in a couple of years down the road, we wouldn't do this again,
Well,
but
I don't see it not happening again. I don't know when, but.
That's the only one thing I see is like a whole hotel. It's the same price as a restaurant. That's,
when we're
trying to
going-
make up some money, maybe you put it on the big hotels.
right, when we're going to the hotels, we're looking at food service areas, not necessarily going around room by room by
Okay.
room.
Okay.
Well, when I did hotels, I'd do a room, a floor, or something like that. You know.
We give a little bit more attention when we have complaints for
Oh, yeah, I realize that.
bed bugs, things of that nature.
Bill, before this bill, so in the past, did you all approve it locally, or did it have to go through the state health department?
There was guidelines as far as the maximum amounts that you could charge, and it
That
was
was
set
set
by
by the state health
64
department?
CSR state rule.
Not the legislature, but the state health department.
Correct. Well, the CSRs do go through the legislature as well. They
It
did.
did.
Now it's been repealed, so it's no longer
But
even
now,
in
if
code.
we decide to do this, you don't have to go to a higher
No,
authority.
sir.
then.
No, sir. As long as the governor signed that Senate Bill 17.
Was it 60 days from?
Yes. So what we're requesting, and thank you, because I forgot to mention that, what the board approved for these fees to be effective for any permits effective July 1, so our next fiscal year. So I apologize for not mentioning that.
But we got it in there.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna assume that the hotels that serve alcohol get the additional fee as well. Well, it's not under theirs, that's why I'm asking. I just want to make sure. I mean, hotels are making a lot more money than the restaurants are.
Yeah, and Karen and I were just discussing that fee, that they had that $150 fee on there. That's not something we implement. That's not a Berkeley County fee, by the way. That's a state fee that they put in
I've
there.
asked before, they told me.
Yeah. They told you it was Berkeley County fee?
No,
Oh,
no, they
okay.
told me it was a state fee. No.
Yeah.
That, I think that instead of waiting 10 years though and doing a huge increase, I think it's better to do incrementals over, like when we approved our water rate thing, we incremented it over 5 years. So it was a gradual over 5 years instead of just, I'd rather see it stay low, and then if you need to increase it 2 years from now, then do it again or whatever, but not wait.
I agree. We were not able to do that
Since
because we were already at our max
Right.
until they repealed
But in the
this
future, is
code.
what I'm saying, if we're the ones in charge of approving it, I'd rather see it done gradually instead of just waiting and then bang, shock everybody.
Yes, sir. I would agree as well.
That's just my opinion.
Bill, these fees, are they the same in both Morgan and Berkeley County?
Yes, sir.
A vending machine, what are you actually inspecting there? I would think that.
Vending machines that we inspect are ones that have like sandwiches and things of that nature, freshness or expirations. We go out and they do a sampling of what's in the machine.
Yeah, you
and
don't
many
do
of
soda
those-
machines or candy.
Soda machines, no. But when we're looking at like when we go to a large factory that may have vending machines that dispenses sandwiches, we want to make sure those are all within date and,
Or milk.
and temperatures.
Or milk.
Milk. Mhm.
And what about septic reinspection fees?
Those did not change. That falls into our reinspection fee, which is $125. Sometimes we do not. It's either $125 or if the cost of your permit, say places only if they have a permit of. Let me give you an example here. A daycare center that they may only pay with the proposed one of $72. If we have to go back out and reinspect the daycare center, the maximum we would charge is $72. We would not charge them more than your annual permit fee would be.
On the research fees.
Yes, sir.
Is everything online that if an individual wanted to go on, instead of paying you all to do it, can you look it up on your own?
We do not have that.
that an option?
That is ideal that we would like to be. And matter of fact, I'd even spoke with Mr. Ryan a couple times about getting that so that it could access those records. It's pretty extensive. We have the records go so far back, and to be able to scan all those and get those into a system, it's going to take a while. But we're not at that point yet.
So like, Bill, even at that, moving forward, from this day forward, you could possibly store those things electronically.
The storing, yes, the storing is not the issue. It's the scanning and data entry that would be the issue. And we've looked for grants to be able to try to hire people to do that. But that is something we want to do. And because it's pretty time consuming. And sometimes when we do the research, it's not just what's in our office. We have to contact the assessor's office to look for information, maybe the tax office. To get additional information because maybe the name has changed a couple different times and things of that nature. So it does take a little bit of while. And sometimes it's real quick.
some of the old permits, the location is a bit vague.
Yes. That's
'Cause I was
putting it
there.
lightly.
I was there.
We have a software that we were trying to work with to get those in electronically, but it's not worked well. So
There's one out there, it's called ImageRite. Check that one. Does document scanning.
Gary has been our expert over the years of going to, so definitely.
Well, I'm sure he would know one. That's just one I'm familiar with. So.
Ideally, we would love to have things online where people could just research it themselves and get it. Because, as I said, it does take a good bit of time.
It'd be a good option to have, I think.
I agree.
Bill, you're only looking at doing any type of fee increase on the environmental side. What about your other side of the house?
Our clinical fees, most of those are unfunded mandates, except for things such as immunizations. It's a core public health duty, but we bill insurance companies. Our fees right now are for billing insurance companies 20% above cost. That if the insurance company pays that, we're in good shape. But many companies, insurance companies we're in contract with, so we have to accept assignment of whatever they're going to pay. So we do bill them, but the other thing is most of what the health department does on the clinical side is, like I said, unfunded mandates. So we're unable to really look at those. But everything else, people come in for TB testing. Those things again are 20% above cost. We find that sufficient, so didn't need to look at that. But everything else, STD checks and all those kind of things, our state aid is supposed to cover 100% of that cost, but we can't charge.
Any other questions, comments? All right, need a motion to accept the recommendation of the director for the health department for permit fee increases.
So moved.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
And a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed?
I'm going to vote no because I think the large places should have an increase higher than what he has. So I'm voting no.
Okay, duly noted.
You can always come back next year and do it again.
Well, perhaps. I won't be here, so I'm making my vote known now.
Motion carries.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, next up, Joe Burton, Executive Director for the Berkeley County Parks and Rec. Come on up. Good morning.
Morning, Joe.
You got a fee that you'd like us to waive?
I do. We have an opportunity to make some improvements to Rooney Park out in Tomahawk. Kelly Barges and a travel baseball group has been pretty interested in improving that facility, and in the past year they've put up some new dugouts. They've done a lot of repairs to drainage to the field and just to the overall condition of the field and the facility. This year they're proposing to do a 25 by 80 foot pavilion that would double as a batting cage. Their group is donating the materials and the labor with the agreement from Parks and Rec that will provide the electrical to that site and give them support with some stone and fill and other things they may need. And going forward, we will maintain it. I've asked that we go through all the proper permitting channels to have oversight of the county engineering department, as well as keeping an eye on that project ourselves and having a licensed contractor oversee all the work done by their volunteers. So I applied for the permit, and the permit fee is $935 for that structure. And that's what I'm here to ask the commission to waive today.
Okay,
That sounds like a reasonable request.
sounds like it was, is a motion to,
Yeah, I'd like to make that motion that we waive that fee. And I'd like to make a comment as well. After doing this for 40-some years, when I would go to the city and I built something in a city park, I always got permitting from them. The fee was automatically waived. We knew that up front. and it seems ludicrous to me to he keep coming on every project to get this approval. It should just be, they're improving our county parks. And I don't think, it's just my opinion, but.
It could
We
be
can-
probably
we can
put
talk
on
about
part of
that.
the consent agenda. I think have we done it on consent agenda before? Do you remember? I don't think we have.
It was brought up under commission comments.
Comments, yeah.
Put it under consent agenda before, you just have never done it as a blanket.
Blanket, yeah.
But just a thought, we
Well,
don't have to decide on that today.
Yeah,
but
I think
it just-
I think probably you got a good comment, but we've had the Boy Scouts come in, we've had different entities come in that, not that they weren't doing something for the parks, but it's always been a community project, so, okay.
Anyway, I make a motion that we waive this fee on this particular project.
Okay, I have a
I'll second
motion
it.
and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Like sign opposed, motion carries.
Appreciate that. And if you need anything from me in the future to look at doing a blanket waiver, that'd be terrific. Like to help out with that.
Sure thing. Thank you,
Joe.
sir.
Thank you.
All right, now we have a board and commission interview with Mr. Fred Johnson, candidate for Farmland Protection Board. Come on up. Good morning, how are you?
Good.
Good. Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you would like to be part of that group of Farmland
I'm Fred
Protection.
Johnson. I'm from Hedgesville all my life. I'm retired from Roadway Express, but I have a little farm on 901. I still run a farming operation.
And you're president of the
I'm
Eastern Panhandle Soil Conservation.
I'm chairman of the board of Eastern Panhandle Soil Conservation. Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more farmland get put in farm preservation. Learn more about it. I don't know much about it, you know, as far as who qualifies or the point system and all that.
I do know that it's a tedious process, you know, to get your land accepted into that and the willingness to put it in that. Is,
Right.
You know,
Right.
for a fee.
I think
that's-
it's a good thing, a real good thing. So I'd be willing to serve on that board.
We'll start with, I'm sorry, go ahead. If,
No,
I was going to say if HD, if he has any questions for you, or
I really don't have any questions.
Barnhart.
I have no questions. I know Fred Johnson, and he's an honorable guy and operates a farm, and more power to him.
thank you.
Steve?
I went to school with him my whole career at Hedgesville Elementary and High School, so.
Oh, we're
Fred
so
and I
sorry.
we probably know each other too well, but
Yeah.
anyway, Fred is a good man. He is a very conscientious. I've heard nothing but good things about him as president of the Soil Conservation District. Doing a great job there. And I think that he would be an excellent candidate for a position on the Farmland Protection Board. So
Is there a vacancy on the farmland?
there is. If you remember, Brad Langdon
Yeah.
resigned. His term expires sometime this fall. And so, according to the bylaws of that organization, we appoint somebody to fill that unexpired term. And then at that point, they would probably be then appointed for a 4-year term. You're allowed to serve 2 full 4-year terms before you have to, be replaced. So that 6 months or whatever if he were appointed, it wouldn't affect him serving 2 more 4-year terms, 8 years more if he so choose to do that. So,
Okay.
but I like the perspective that he knows about farming. He knows Berkeley County very well. He'll tell you the whole history of everything down in his creation of 901 down there, everything in that whole end of the county, but he knows Berkeley County. And it seems to me like in the past that the candidates have been people that have farmland in the program. And I don't necessarily know that that's the right thing. I think it's good to have a perspective from others as well. And I think Fred would serve in that capacity.
Eddie?
I think you were before us not too long ago on a budget presentation. were you
Yes.
not? Yeah.
Yes. I've been here before.
Yeah.
So
So
appreciate all helping.
honestly, of course, speaking with Steve, speaks very highly of you and talks about the quality of person that you are. And that's what we're looking for all the time. We're looking for good people to serve on different boards and stuff. So I'd just like to thank you for applying.
Well, thank you. Let me come in here.
Yes, sir. And I can mirror everything that everybody says. I mean, like I said before, the county has to rely a lot on volunteers for certain things, and the willingness to give back to your community is commendable, for everything that, sometimes it's thankless, but yet,
Yeah.
it's also rewarding.
Right.
But we want to thank you for
Right.
coming in, and
Right.
we don't make a decision right now, but once
Okay.
we go, we'll make sure you're notified, and
All right.
and we'll go from there.
Thank you all for having me.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, sir.
Do we have an executive session?
No, sir.
No, sir?
What?
None?
What?
Do you want one?
No, sir.
What?
This is like a record.
Yeah, all right. Well, with that being said, any items from the public? Nope. All righty. Mr. Barnhart.
Well, Mr. President, I would like to recess.
All righty, we are in recess. Thank you. Done.